Prices are going down, banks are being bailed out again, Americans are being neglected. Now, I'm not the kind of guy to sit here and just tell you guys that I told you so because, that wouldn't be cool, right? But you know what? I did say that car prices were going down, and we're what? I don't know, a couple of months into 2023, and it's already happening. But yeah, not saying I told you so. I also didn't predict layoffs. The Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell made it very clear that they were planning on having that happen. But I did say that we were probably going to be seeing stores close at a historic level, and well, that's happening too. Bankruptcy is becoming the norm, and that's a scary sight for all of us. Now, with store closures come those layoffs, and that part hurts the most as none of us want people to just have their cash flow frozen and evaporate like that. But again, this shows just how much we have to prepare as the cards are now starting to fall. You can't be caught with your you-know-what down at this time. Now, here's something that the banks don't want you to know about this coming downturn. Are you ready? Markets are extremely fragile right now due to the commercial mortgage-backed securities, or the CMBS. Do you guys believe that the banks are now out of the woods? Or are you like many Americans who are worried about your money out there? Now, the Fed seems to be worried as they're injecting them with billions of dollars. Oh yes, the Fed is injecting the banks with billions of dollars yet again. And do you believe that us as the citizens of the United States of America are being taken care of at this time? Or are we being neglected over other priorities? Time is of the essence, so let's go ahead and get straight to the facts here. By the way, for the best way to invest in gold or silver, check out the links in the description down below of this email. And for the very best way to invest in gold or silver, check out the links in the description of this video down below. Quick question for you. Why do you vote? Now, I know the question seems like it's coming a little bit out of left field, but bear with me. What's the reason for you voting for who you vote for? Is it due to their political party? Or like many people that I know, are you voting based on what politicians say and promise to us? Because that really matters, right? Like if a politician told me that, they would do something or get something done during this campaign, I would be waiting on them to fulfill that promise when they finally hold office, right? Wouldn't you? However, some critics of our government will say that Americans have become an afterthought in our own country. They went on to say that what we say doesn't even matter anymore. And Michael Snyder, he wrote this article titled, "Take Care of America First. We're sending mountains of money overseas, but our own communities are dying," end quote. Now, in this, he's saying that the Biden administration is again sending another taxpayer-funded package overseas. This time, it is worth $300 million. Now, all the while, they're arguing about the debt limit and a possible default. And it's not just this administration, though. I know some people might say that, I'm putting it all on President Biden, but let's just think about it for a second. Back in 2020, we were giving aid to 157 different countries. And just imagine that. So we're $31 trillion in debt, but we can still manage to send billions of dollars across the world. Very fascinating. You know what else, though? You guys tell me, because I don't want this to be one of those YouTube videos where, it's one-sided altogether, right? Let's try to look at this from multiple angles. Tell me how your finances are going in the comments right now. Like, how's your community holding up? Do you now have more credit card bills? Are you going out of your way to try and apply for SNAP or EBT benefits? How about those on Social Security, SSI, SSDI? Are your checks buying enough food? You see, it really doesn't matter who's at the top. What matters is what are you doing for the people who are at the bottom. Now, here's the best part. You will not hear them say that our economy is in trouble. They will not do that. Heck, they even said that banks are sound and resilient right now. Now, if banks are so resilient, then why do they need a small pick-me-up at the tune of $32 billion? You heard me right. 19 banks, which includes PacWest, East West Bancorp, and Glacier Bancorp, they got around $32.6 billion from the Federal Reserve's new program called the Bank Term Funding Program, or the BTFP. Now, I would rather call it the WTF instead because, what the F, right? But what is this going to do to our dollars? I'm not paying $50 for a Happy Meal if this causes inflation to run wild. Now, speaking of fast food, maybe you should get a Whopper soon, as they're planning to close 400 Burger King stores by the end of this year. And more are sure to follow, as this is history in the making, guys. We're going to see more companies filing for bankruptcy, and it is not going to be a pretty sight. You guys know Christmas tree shops, right? They've been around for 5 decades, but that means jack squat nowadays. They just reported for bankruptcy, and with all of these factors settling in, they're expecting more layoffs. And as layoffs continue, consumers are forced to hang on to their dollars for as long as they can. This in turn affects other businesses, and the cycle's just going to continue until we hit this very bottom. I mean, just look at used car prices nowadays. For the first time this year, used car vehicle prices have gone down, a reported 3% decline from March to April. So how are the car lots looking these days? Are they looking a little bit more full? And you got to wonder how long until these lots will just have to close down too. Which brings me to what could be the worst thing that will happen in 2023. Businesses are closing at a rapid rate. Businesses that were taking up real estate, in other words, commercial properties. You guys see where I'm going with this? Think about this for a second. Back in 2008, securities backed with mortgages, which includes subprime mortgages that were held by banks, they lost most of their value. And this shocked a lot of people because they didn't see the writing on the wall. Now, if we go ahead and fast forward to 2023, we are now looking at the exact same possibility, but this time around, it's with the CMBS, or the commercial mortgage-backed securities. Now, from the term itself, it's basically securities backed with commercial real estate loans. And as borrowers make their payments, investors are repaid. Now, remind me again as to the state of the CREs, or the commercial real estate today.
In this situation we're in, things have to bottom out, and they haven't bottomed out yet. I was just reading there's $1.5 trillion of debt maturing on commercial real estate and by 2025. So sellers are not realizing how much their properties have lost value, and they're not willing to dump their properties yet because they haven't felt enough pain. They're about to start feeling pain. These lenders are spooked. There's no lending going on. There's no transactions going on. And it's going to be ugly. I mean, it's going to be at least as bad as 08, 09.
That's right, guys. They're in big trouble. Take into consideration what happened during the health crisis, all right? Y'all remember that, right? Where companies found resiliency through remote work because we all needed to make a buck, and these companies were now willing to send us laptops and computers so that we can keep their businesses afloat, working remotely, working from home. And so now they're thinking, well, what are we renting this building and all this space for? Why are we paying for electricity, for coffee machines, and heck, even water coolers? Like, what's the point when we could just be making even more money, increasing our profits as our employees stay at home, get paid the same, and handle all of those other expenses? Now, at the same time, the Fed's battle with inflation has raised interest rates by so much that investors can't even refinance once it's time to do so. And guess what? Exiting these CMBS loans, they can be very expensive. Now you're thinking, like, why should I be worried, right? Because this may even cause more banks to just go pop out of existence. They're not going to tell you this, and when I say they, I mean mainstream media. Because a lot of you guys are asking me, hey Ron, how come I'm not seeing some of this stuff in the news? This is why. You're not going to see this on news outlets when you turn on your TV, and once you do, it's going to be all too late. It's all over. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money. That's on you. But I also want you to be aware that half of our banks here in the country may be insolvent. And that's around 2,400 banks that are burning through their capital. And here's what Professor Amit Saru, a banking expert at Stanford University, had to say about this. Quote, "It's spooky. Thousands of banks are underwater. Let's not pretend that this is just about Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic. A lot of the US banking system is potentially insolvent." End quote. Now, some may call this doom and gloom, while others will probably call it the truth. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide on what you want to do with this information. And it's also up to you guys to decide what happens next. There's a lot of opportunities to make money from right where you're sitting. And given that inflation is bearing down on our money, improving our cash flow should be a priority. Learning about investments in gold, silver, in real estate, and the stock market, it takes time. And the same goes for generating multiple streams of income through side hustles and small businesses. Time that most of us don't have. But this is exactly why I'm willing to create videos for you guys so that you can learn more about this subject matter. So I highly suggest drop me a comment down below. Let me know if you want to learn more about that. I can make videos for you guys to kind of help you out in some way. But before I wrap things up, please don't forget to drop a like for the video and share this video with a friend. I appreciate you guys. Also subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one.